Welcome to today's webinar session brought to you by Bursa Malaysia and managed by LiveChamp. So my name is Carmen and I will be the moderator for today's session. So our session topic for today is ESG investing. But before that, we do have a special guest from Sidra, and she will take roughly 10 minutes to share with you what Sidra is about. So please welcome Ms. Bama to the floor.
Hi. Hi, Carmen. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. So over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I need to share the slides here. Yeah, here you go. Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, thank you to LiveChamp, Carmen, for the brief introduction, and Bursa for providing Sidra the opportunity to address as a part of the Bursa Marketplace Investor Education Series. Right, my name is Bama, as introduced by Carmen just now, and I am the acting head of operations at Sidra, and would like to take this opportunity to explain in detail about what is Sidra is all about, okay, and also the vital role to capital market investors, right? Okay, Sidra stands for Securities Industries Dispute Resolution Center. And Sidra is an independent and impartial body that helps resolve capital market dispute through mediation and adjudication. These are the two processes that we'll use to resolve the dispute between the investors and also our members, right? We are affiliates of Securities Commissions Malaysia, and to act as a dispute resolution body for monetary claims made by individual investors and sole proprietors against members of Sidra. For you to know members of Sidra in relation to any dealings or transaction involving capital market services and products. Okay, for you to know who are the members of Sidra, you can go to our website. We have 200 registered members under Sidra and licensed by SC, Securities Commission. You can look at the list and cross-check who are the members of Sidra, right? And we are a component of the investor protection infrastructure in capital market. Many investors think that the only solution when you face monetary losses with the bank or brokers or your fund managers or your agents is to file a claim in court. But some of them are not aware that there are alternate dispute resolution centers or avenues to resolve your dispute. Okay, Sidra as an alternate dispute resolution avenue to resolve financial dispute without going to court in Malaysia. Okay, our process to resolve the dispute is informal, and we strive to ensure that the parties are adequately supported through the process. Okay, through our ADR process. It is actually the avenue is to redress mechanism for consumer protection in Malaysia, and investors in Malaysia can seek help in addressing their financial dispute by contacting Sidra related to capital market services and products, right? Okay. Sidra dispute resolution services are free for investors. For claims up to 250,000, it is called mandatory scheme. Okay, and we accept dispute involving claims above 250,000, where both parties to agree to use Sidra services under a scheme called voluntary scheme. Right here for voluntary scheme, a reasonable fee will be chargeable under the scheme to the investors and also the members. Right. And how Sidra can benefit investors. As I explained just now, we are one-stop center that handles capital market-related disputes and contribute towards enhancement of investor protection. Okay, and also investors' understanding of the market and their responsibilities for their own investment. Okay, in a nutshell, Sidra is a specialized, independent, and impartial body resolving capital market related dispute with expert knowledge and experience, right? And who can file a claim? Sidra. Okay, these are the criteria that you have to fulfill in order for you to file a claim against Sidra's member, right? First, you must be an individual investor or a sole proprietor, and the claim must be against Sidra's member, right? And should involve capital market product or services, and the claim must be related to a monetary claim, okay, monetary loss. And the claimant, as a claimant, the investor has to lodge a complaint. If you have a dispute with the member, you have to lodge a complaint with the relevant member first. Okay, failing which, where you did not receive any reply from the member, or the reply is not up to your satisfaction, with their final reply, you can come and lodge the complaint with Sidra. So these are the criteria who is eligible to file a claim. Later, I'll explain to you what are the processes, the procedures that you have to follow, right? Okay. This is what I have explained earlier. We help you to solve the dispute between individual investors or sole proprietor and capital market intermediaries who are Sidra's member, involving shares and warrants, securities, derivative, private retirement scheme, fund management, and unit trust. So these are the capital market related products, right? Okay, how can you lodge a complaint? You can go to our website, okay, Sidra's website, download the dispute or claim form from Sidra's website, and also fill it up, scan or take photos of the completed document and send it to Sidra. You can email to us, or you can come to our office. A Sidra case manager will contact you to attend to your claims. Okay, let's say you do not have any facility to, log into our website, or do not have facility to have a Wi-Fi or something. You can anytime walk into our office, during the office hours, walk into our office. We are here to assist you accordingly, right? And yeah, this is what I wanted to explain to you, the process of dispute resolution. Okay, this is important for you to know what are the processes, what are the steps that you have to follow in order to make a claim with Sidra. Okay, first, as I said earlier, you have to complain your dispute to the member, right? So members, they have their internal complaints management system. So when you have to file the complaint to the members first. So members have 90 days to resolve a complaint through their internal system, right? They have only 90 days to resolve the complaint, your complaint. So members' final reply, this is called a final reply. In a final reply, they have to inform the client or inform the investors who lodged a complaint that Sidra has an avenue to pursue redress if their reply is not satisfied, right? So where the member has attempted to resolve the complaint and has issued its final reply on the eligible matter, the claimant may, if dissatisfied with the final reply, refer the dispute to Sidra. But you have to refer the dispute within 180 days, okay, from the date of receipt of the final reply. So you have 180 days to refer to Sidra from the date of the final reply. If let's say it is more than 180 days, can you come to us and not? Okay, based on our terms of reference, okay, Sidra may exercise its discretion to accept the claim on two bases. One is that for exceptional cases, okay, or the member, there's no objection from the member. These are the two bases that we have to see in order to proceed with the cases that reported more than 180 days, right? Okay. Next stage is case management. Okay. After you lodge a complaint to Sidra, a case management, that means an investigation process will go on. Okay, case management by the assigned case managers. So we'll assess the eligibility and merits of the claim, whether the claim is valid or not. Okay, so we have to, in order to investigate further, we have to send queries to both parties, the members and also the investors, to understand the concerns, help the parties to resolve the dispute at early stage before we go to the next step, mediation or adjudication, right? And to talk about mediation, okay, mediation is an avenue to facilitate. Okay, we'll appoint an external mediator to facilitate both parties, investors and also the member, okay, to communicate and come to a amicable settlement. You know, the mediator will encourage open and constructive discussion to come to an amicable settlement. Failing which, where the mediation is unsuccessful, we can proceed to the next stage is adjudication. Adjudication is similar like a court process, where the adjudicator will hear the case, okay, both member and claimant to their submission of case, and adjudicator will make the final decision and give the award based on fair and reasonable manner. Okay, after considering few factors, it's like, you know, fact of the case, supporting evidences, applicable laws. We refer to, you know, judicial precedent, guidelines or codes of conduct, and also good industry practices in order to give the award. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So how can you contact us? As I said, you can walk into our office, or you can call us at 03-2282-2280, or you can send your claims and inquiries to our email, info@sidra.com.my, and you also can access our social media, right? So these are the avenues of how can you lodge a complaint to Sidra. Okay, so that is all about Sidra processes and procedures, and I would like to express my sincere appreciation for your time. I can, you know, if you have any question, you can ask me now. Or if it's no questions, that's all from me. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for Ms. Bama for your sharing. I think there's one question on the floor where the participant, Avril Yap, is actually asking if there's any real case that really happened that you can share it to everyone here.
Real case that happened to share it. Sorry to say that our internal cases are very confidential. And I would like to tell that the cases that we handle is, you know, within Sidra and very confidential in terms of investors and also, you know, the members as well. So what I can share is that roughly we have, you know, complaints against some, you know, the cases that I handle, we have cases where, you know, one of the, you know, a consultant or agent has misappropriate the fund of the investor. Okay, the capital, let's say, I mean, the investor invested in unit trust, for example. So the UTC has, you know, the consultant has misappropriated the fund by asking the what do you call the investor to transfer the investment money into his personal account. So this is where the investors need to be more alert and aware, where, you know, when you invest in a, you know, registered companies or registered bank or our registered members, you have to see whether the account, whether you can first of all, you know, invest in the consultant's personal account. That is wrong. So you have to do some due diligence before you, you know, commit into the investment. So these are some cases, and also similar to that, the unit trust consultant also asked the investors to, you know, transfer the investment money into, you know, the members' account, but his personal investment account. It is not the investor's account. So what I'm trying to say is that please be alert and check, before you invest, money into your investment, and do not rely on the consultants, the advice and all. So you have to make your, be alert and aware of, what are the procedures, actual procedures, whether you can invest the money into the consultant's personal account or not. Okay, so these are some cases that I can give you.
All right, so I think that will be all. That's all for the question. So once again, thank you so much, Ms. Bama, for coming today and for sharing, more on Sidra. So moving on to the main topic for today, which is ESG investing. Let me just put up my screen. All right, so back to the main agenda. So investing, of course, is not just about making money. It's also about making a difference. So that's where ESG investing takes this concept to a whole new level, but aligning your investment with your own values and belief. So it's an approach that has gained popularity in the recent years as more and more investors are actually looking for ways to do good while doing well, right? So with that being said, okay, allow me just to do a short disclaimer first. Whatever that's shared in this session here is mainly for educational purpose. By no means that we are providing you any advice to buy or sell any securities. So of course that you are 100% liable if you make any investment decision. Right, so today we're very honored to invite the founder of Gainvestor, Mr. Johnny Tiong, to share with you how ESG impacts a company and what should your ESG investing approach be. So with that being said, okay, let me just run you through on a little bit of his biodata. Right, so Mr. Johnny is an engineer come investor with 10 years of investing experience. His investment style is more on fundamental, technical, and wind rider. Previously, he hosted stock investment sharing sessions and investment course in Johor, Kuala Lumpur, and Sarawak. And last but not least, he has a Facebook page and a blog site called Wind Rider Gainvestor. So, please welcome Mr. Johnny to the floor.
Okay, thanks, Carmen. Thanks for the introduction. So let me just share screen.
Let me just stop sharing. Okay, over to you.
Okay, just checking with everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So that's good. Okay, so thanks, Carmen, thanks LiveCham, and thanks Busa for the opportunity to share on ESG investing. So before I go furthermore, I just want to say, last few days I actually attended a session. I can call it a conference or summit in Penang. It's about medical technology for medtech. In short, they call it medtech, which is called medical technology. So in which I was quite surprised because ESG is one of the discussed, or I can say a hot topic discussed in the forum. So not only in the medtech industry, so I also attended a few seminars locally and internationally. So for petrochemicals and for oil and gas and some other forums, ESG is also popular and hot topic being discussed by every industry. Okay, every industry, I mean, it's not just oil and gas or medtech or properties, it's all of the industry. So today, so I'm just gonna go through what's the history of our ESG and then the definition of ESG. And then next, we're gonna understand the ESG assessment in Malaysia. So how the companies got the rating of 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and 4 stars, just like our assessment or our ratings in our university or in our school, whereby we get 100 marks, 80 marks, A plus, B, things like that. And we have why investors should target ESG investing. Okay, for long term. Okay, how long is that? And then we have a case study, how ESG affects company prospects. And then also lastly, we're going to talk about ESG stocks. I also managed to put in a few things which was announced by our government recently. First is the NIMP. Okay, and next is the IESG. If you guys are aware and you have been alert on the news. So these two things are actually quite important. And I see that it will be a milestone, I mean, for our investing and in our investment journey. Okay, so let's just go through some history about ESG. So ESG, this thing is, for us, I think is not new. It's all started in 2004, whereby you see this guy here, Kofi Annan. So, okay, our late Kofi Annan actually wrote a letter to 55 CEOs of major financial institutions around the world. So you must take a note that he is actually driving this, and then the audience, he actually write it to the major financial institutions. Because why financial institutions? Because they have the fund, they are able to drive and regulate certain things. Okay, so he started it in 2004. So in the letter, he actually launched an initiative. It's called Who Cares Wins. Okay, so he talked about how to integrate in environmental, social, and also governance (ESG) in the asset management and investment to create a global corporation. So at first, the initiative only got support from 20 financial institutions from 9 countries. Okay, so when it goes by 2004 to 2008, they have conferences and then they publish annual research reports just to encourage and to drive the thing. Okay, so now coming back to recent years, 2018 to 2020, so global ESG investment volume had increased tenfold. Okay, according to the Morningstar statistics as of September 2021, the size of global ESG funds has increased to 3.9 trillion. So why are we focusing at these numbers? Because this is actually telling us how much amount of fund had been allocated. Okay, so these are also some just write-ups and also some history background. So this is a major effort to include the private sector in addressing the world's problem. So businesses have leveraged natural resources and human capital to grow. Okay, for example, all the businesses that have been utilizing, take the resources from the Mother Earth, and then they grow money. They make profit, they use it for their own expansion and stuff. So what about the environment? Okay, energy received but energy return. So ESG is also about energy received from the environment and energy return. Okay, energy return in terms of to the human and to the mother nature. Okay, so but this has also had negative impacts on the environment and society, which in turn threaten the existence of businesses if left unaddressed. So United Nations, had empowered banks and institutional investors to become the first movers. So since these parties dictate where the funds are flow and when and can influence companies through their shareholding. Okay, so UN is also quite supportive of this ESG, and in which they are also driving the trend into ESG. Okay, so instead of imposing the idea that businesses have a moral responsibility to consider non-financial factors like climate change and social issues, ESG made a business case. So how they attract people is they're gonna input the elements of business case into the ESG for it by framing it as a risk management tool that can also uncover new business opportunities. So when you heard about this, you might be blur, or how can ESG be related to business or to making profit, to risk management? So just allow me to go through. So hopefully after this, another 1.5 hours, you might be able to understand. If not, there are some key takeaways that you can take after the session today. So yeah, we briefly go through the history of ESG. The most important thing is you must know that the amount is increasing, the funds are increasing, thanks to our late Kofi Annan. Okay, I know it's morning, not the coffee, it's the Mr. Kofi Annan. Okay, so definition of ESG is easy, it's simple. E stands for environmental, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. Okay, so there are a lot of elements. I think it's around 14 elements under the ESG. So for environmental, they talk about climate change strategy, biodiversity, water efficiency, energy efficiency, carbon intensity, and also environmental management system. I think now the global world is all talking about net zero carbon, carbon neutrality, carbon tax, okay, and also the water efficiency. Actually, we are quite lucky in Malaysia. We don't have water problem yet. I mean, the supply of water. If we look at other countries, they are starting to have water insufficient, or we call it water scarcity problem. Okay, energy efficiency, carbon intensity. I think carbon intensity there's no doubt about that. The whole world is talking about that. We have carbon capture and storage and utilization. So these are all related to environmental. Okay. So what about social? Social, we have equal opportunities, freedom of association, health and safety, human rights, customer and products responsibility, and also child labor. So I think we can relate it to this. We can see that a lot of organizations, they start to have female, we can say female VPs or the in the top management. Okay. And for the governance, we can talk about business ethics, compliance, board independence, executive compensation, and also shareholder democracy. So all this governance is basically related to how the business or how they conduct their business day-to-day operation. Okay, so these are all talk about ESG. I think the whole world is more about environmental, but at the same time there are some social and also governance element in it. Okay, so that's why we call it ESG. So you might be confused what is ESG and what is CSR. So these are some of the, some of the primary difference between ESG and CSR. So ESG is an outside in approach. It was brought in, introduced in the global level, and how it will be adopted in a corporate level. Okay, so we call it outside in approach. Okay, for CSR, it's actually inside out. So meaning to say, whatever you have or whatever you are doing, you have your initiative from internally, and you're gonna serve the society. So we call inside out approach. Okay, so ESG, the effect of environment and also society on the company. So the effect is coming from outside to the company, so outside in. Okay, for CSR, is an effect of a company on the environment and society. CSR is normally they are having gotong royongs or cleaning up. So what is the effect of the company towards the nearby environment and also society? Okay, so ESG is a model used by investors to examine the sustainability of a company. Okay, take note of the word sustainability. Sustain here is how the company is going to sustain its business for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So they talk about long term. So ESG can help them. It's used by investors to know and to check how sustainable is this company towards a business sustainability, or also towards the energy sustainability also. Okay, for CSR, is a business model that affects organization processes and company culture. Okay, so it's just CSR, it mostly will affect the organization process and also the impression towards a company. So ESG includes a set of criteria for assessing sustainability. So this thing was introduced. There's a few metrics on how do they assess the ESG for each company. So for CSR, it includes the activities that companies undertake to maximize their impact on the communities. Again, the keyword here is inside out. So what the company do to maximize the impact on the communities. So ESG refers to the quantification of the risk. This is another level of ESG. So ESG is all about risk management. So how the management make decision, or how the management tackles the risk in terms of E, S, and G. Okay. So for CSR is that refers to the quantification of the responsibility. What do they do? How many efforts they've done? How many initiatives they've done? Okay. So for ESG, it focuses on influencing financial performance. Okay, so CSR is about dealing with the stakeholders. Stakeholders here can mean a lot: the government, the nearby society, the environment. Okay, so ESG here, the reporting is through ESG disclosures to borrowers and investors who examine whether the company is at risk from environmental, social, and governance factors. If you look at our Bursa's company annual report, okay, if you look at from the Bursa, each company is also required to have a sustainability report also. So in which inside the sustainability report, they also talk about the ESG approach each company had to do, or what they have done and what they will do towards ESG. So they'll talk about environment, social, and also governance. Okay, there's a lot of investment ideas can spark by reading the sustainability report also. So reporting for CSR is through a corporate responsibility report for stakeholders that show the full impact of the company on the people and the planet. So normally in the annual report, we will see a few pages of the company's initiatives. What have they done? I mean, for example, like the beach cleaning activities, all those are called CSR, okay, corporate social responsibilities. So these are all actually the difference between ESG and CSR, outside in and inside out approach. So these are there are 7 essentials you need to know. Okay, all these are taken from the JP Morgan. So it's not what I say, it's based on what they have gathered the information from. So ESG considerations are slowly influencing consumer choices and attitudes. So they have done a statistic in Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, Germany, Korea, China, Indonesia, Singapore, and also US. So if you look at this statistic, I buy from companies that are conscious of protecting the environment, whereby green is agree, blue is disagree. So you can see the bubbles here, almost more than, okay, I think the bigger portion are all coming from yes, they are agree. To take things of that, I have a few friends who are actively investing in unit trust. So it comes to my surprise that currently they are also looking into, for example, the fund. If let's say there's a rating for the ESG, right? If the fund is supportive of ESG, they will tend to support. So you can imagine, oh, these are my batch friends. So when they have this mindset, it started, I mean, it made me to ponder what is the sudden change in their attitude. I think mostly it's because of they are more conscious of the environment too. So this is actually happening to me with my circle of friends. So I think this statistic is actually, I mean, it's concurrent to what happens to my friend also. Okay, so why does it matter? So consumers make decisions with sustainability in mind, and they vote with their wallets. Okay, so these changes will have ripple effects and is expanding from individual to macro level. So another thing to note, I remember that one of my friends just said, okay, the school is actually asking the children, I mean the school children, to collect the cans and give to the school. So it somehow forced the parents to go and help them to collect at the same time. So it all starts from education, the ripple effect from education from small children to the parents, from the parents to the society. So these are some of the important things that we need to know. ESG is slowly affecting our attitude and also our choices. One thing to know, I think the Body Shop, they are also, I think they are proud of their product. The Body Shop says that the product is vegan approved, meaning to say they are sourcing their raw materials from plant-based, not from animal-based. So these are things that it slowly comes to mind. It's slowly injecting to our community. They are more and more uh, environmental conscious on this. Okay. So the second thing, policymakers are setting environment and social goals. So governments of the world top greenhouse gas GHG emitters are working towards a net zero future in which emissions are reduced or offset. So if you can just look at this, let me just zoom in a bit. Okay, this is a GHG emissions from 1990, and then they have a forecast. Okay, 2060 to 2060, how many tons per year for how many carbon dioxide equivalent. So they just look at, okay, the huge continents or huge countries, where China, EU, European Union, and also US. So China is growing. There's a lot of CO2 emission because they are expanding the whole country. Okay, so starting from 2020, some of the country or some of the governments have a policy they want to reduce. They will be reducing the CO2 emission. And for US and EU, they pledge in 2050, I think in somewhere in the Paris Agreement or in whatever platform or other platform, they pledge net zero carbon by 2050. Whereby in China, they say in 2060. So when the big countries in the world start to commit to a certain milestone, so small countries second world country, third world country will be following too. Okay, so why does it matter? So over 80 countries representing 75% of global GHG emissions have set ambitious net zero emissions towards for the coming decades. Okay, so same goes to Malaysia, multinational company. We have two companies here. So one is Petronas. They also set zero carbon emission by 2050. Okay, so this news is not new. This news is not new. Yeah. Okay, this news is actually from 2020, from 5th of November, which is 3 years ago. Okay, Petronas also sets target on the net zero carbon by 2050. Okay, then comes to Tenaga also. So Tenaga and Petronas have been working together hand in hand. Tenaga also sets on net zero carbon on 2050. So when big corporates or big industries in Malaysia can see Petronas itself is an oil and gas industry, they are emitting a lot of carbon dioxide. Okay, so when the big companies, oil and gas, okay, the company that who used to pollute, not to say, okay, the company which the products are mainly polluting the environment commits to the net zero carbon. So of course, a lot other companies will be following also. When we talk about oil and gas industry, not only Petronas, I think Shell, Exxon, Total, all those companies, they are also committed to net zero carbon. Then when we switch to the energy segment, electricity, Tenaga is also focusing on this net zero carbon. Okay, so definitely the other world is also focusing. Take for example, I think another France similar like TNB, Tenaga in Malaysia. There's a similar company named NG in France. They are also committed to 2050. But I think this 2050 is a pledge to the whole world. Okay, but internally, definitely they have their own internal KPI, which must be a few years before that 2050. This is what I understand. Okay, and then number three, the number three thing that you should know. So for some, the shift to sustainability may be a headwind, might be difficult. To achieve net zero emissions by 2050, traditional energy needs to account for a much smaller proportion of the global energy mix. So when we look at this, so we have the chart, we have oil, coal, gas, and renewable, nuclear, and hydro. Okay, so oil and coal and gas are the conventional energy supplier. Okay, so when we see by this is the 100% chart. So by before 2020, I think the conventional fossil fuel based energy accounts to around like more than 70%. And then things will start to change when it comes to 2040 because renewable, nuclear and hydro, inclusive of gas. Gas here can be some of the gas is clean. Okay, clean here meaning to say it doesn't emit a CO2 also. Okay, so it depends on which source that you are taking from. Okay, but the thing here is starting from 2030, okay, 2040 in fact, by 2050, the renewables, nuclear and hydro is gonna increase. So why of the sudden spike? Because of the technology maturity. I think a lot of companies are now maturing, developing the technology. So I think based on the statistic from JP Morgan, by 2040, it will gonna increase by around more than 50% of the global world. Okay, so why it matters? So energy transition may pose a challenge for industry relying on fossil fuels. Fortunately, it is not too late for companies to transition. Okay, so I think Petronas has been taking a good step too for the energy transition, in which they are serious about that. Okay, so it's an example for other oil and gas companies also. So number 4, so ESG creates significant opportunities for those who are forefront of the change. Billions of dollars are flowing into energy transition. So before I talk about this chart, suddenly coming into my mind, a Malaysia company called Yinsen, which is I think is a supplier for vessel for oil and gas. They are also embarking into the EV charger, the EV charging station. So which I think is good for them because they know that where's the technology or where's the trend gonna head. So instead of focusing on on the oil and gas, they are focusing on renewable by supplying EV charger. Okay, so which is also a good trend. I mean, it is a company in energy transition as well, transition from oil and gas to renewable also. Okay, so okay, these are the global investment in energy transition, where renewables and this is a storage, electrification, carbon capture, inclusive of the hydrogen and stuff. Okay, so we can see that the numbers are increasing. So the global investment, you see the size of the bubble. Here is 33 billion. Then it increases to, if I add both out, is around 200 billion. So until 2020, they're already invested, I think, 220 B, okay, towards the renewables and also storage of electrification of carbon capture. Okay, so why does it matter? Sustainability is propelling investment opportunities, which return potential. So if you look at this amount, for example, this 220 billion had been invested. Where does the money flows to? It falls to some of the companies venturing into renewables and also electric of carbon capture companies. So I think all this money is out there in the market. Okay, so let's say um if the company is into this trend, they will definitely have some portion of it. One of the example, recently, I think starting from March, there's an Evonik, which is a battery producer. One of the company in Penang, I mean a YBS. Okay, this is not a buy sell. This is not a buy call. The YBS is actually entering an MOU with Evonik to venture into battery manufacturing. Some of the things are quite unclear also. Worth it to go and check. YBS and also Evonik. So, okay, Evonik itself is a global battery manufacturer. So if, and then definitely when Evonik is doing business there, I want to look for another source, another place to set up their plant. They want to expand their business. Definitely they'll be looking into Southeast Asia region. So if there are companies in Malaysia which is listed and which have the capability to help the foreign countries, so why not? It can be a good investment idea. Okay, it can be a good chance for us. Okay, just look at the amount, 220 billion by 2020. Definitely now 2023, the amount have increased. So where does the money flows? How can we take opportunity on this? By reading more news and also be alert. Okay, and then number 5, ESG covers more than climate. The focus on social and governance is growing too. So these are the corporate mentions of diversity and inclusions in earnings call. So starting from 2011, there are not many people mentioned about ESG, but there's a sudden spike, more than 100% growth in by 2021. A lot of companies are actually focusing on ESG. The ESG word is actually popular in the annual reports and their own reports. Okay, so why it matters? The recent jump in corporate mentions of social issues signals rising interest and regulatory pressure. Okay, the things here, regulatory pressure, there's a lot. Okay, policymaker or regulator is very important in making ESG happening. Okay, so I think from now on, they are already pushing it. They set a certain limit. They have the agreement from all the big countries, big leaders. So the pledge to 2050, it will be happen. I don't think so. It will stop. For example, in 2035, tiba-tiba suddenly they say, okay, let's not do this net zero carbon 2050. It will not be happening. In fact, the whole world is gearing towards that. So the opportunity it starts. The new trend just started. It is just equivalent to all when we say AI. If you miss AI, if you miss the 5G automation, ESG is the next thing to come. Net zero carbon, can use source of renewable energy. So this is the trend. Okay. The number 6, ESG is affecting the investment landscape. The demand for sustainable fixed income strategies is also growing rapidly, with sustainable bond issuance doubling in 2020. So when we look at this, green, sustainable, and social. So the overall, the squares here is increasing. Green sustainable, a green bond is increasing. Okay. And then the sustainable bond is increasing, social bond is also increasing. So why it matters? Sustainable investing is not limited to equities, environmental and social projects have increasing access to financing, meaning to say if you're into this field, I think in our recent NIMP, there's also enablers. Enablers here means the banks, the financing services, which are supplying finance loans with a better rate to the SMEs, small medium enterprise, to start venturing into ESG related matters. Okay, so let's just look at Tesla from the start until now. I think everyone knows about Tesla. I think in the first few years, their company had not been growing. I mean, they reported losses in the first few years, and then now the whole world is talking about the Tesla EV cars. I think they are on the right direction. They are actually pushing for the renewable energy. Okay, this is just talking on the product. Okay, the cars that they have, the EV cars and stuff. So the last one, ESG is changing the nature of investment flows. So the share of total net flows into sustainable strategies. Okay, so when we talk at EU, US, and the rest of the world, these are the amounts that have been flowing into sustainable strategies. 14%. It's increasing. Okay, US is dropping in 2021. Same goes to the rest of the world. But I think this is because of the COVID that happened the world, so there's some changes, but all in all, it's increasing. Especially European Union is very serious, in which a lot of opportunities is gonna flow to our Southeast Asia. Okay, same goes to US. It gonna increase, it gonna grow a lot also, and a lot of other opportunities will be coming into Southeast Asia also. Okay, so what it matters, the demand for sustainable funds will continue to increase, will continue to increase, and it will not decrease. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna increase. So what is our ESG definition in Malaysia? So, but before we talk about ESG in Malaysia, there are some statistics. So according to CFA Institute statistics, as of 18th of June 2020, 69% of retail investors are interested in ESG. So out of 10 people, 7 are interested in ESG, but then only 10 of them actually invested in ESG related stocks. Okay, so in Malaysia, recently ESG is also a common concern for investors. So ESG criteria has become an important part of investment decision making process and risk management of listed companies. This applies especially to all those fund managers. I think ESG is also one of the components that are in the investment philosophy and also strategy. If you look at some of the market reports, companies reports, they are actually ESG ratings. I mean, just at the side. So actually, the ESG rating is also a part of the initiative to spark the interest and awareness of ESG in all the investors. So the big players are already starting it. I mean, the market research, the market reports is already started that. Okay. So with this, so we have a FTSE for Good Bursa Malaysia. So, or in short, we call it F4GBM. Okay, was launched in December 2014 with the aim of to support investors to make ESG investment in listed companies in Malaysia. So to increase company profile and exposure with leading ESG practices, to promote company best practices and supporting the transition to a low carbon or more sustainable economy. Okay. So we talk about definition of ESG in Malaysia. Okay, and now we're gonna understand ESG assessment in Malaysia. So we're gonna know how the companies got the ESG ratings. So the first thing, assessment and data models for ESG allow investors to understand how serious companies are about their future prospects and how they manage ESG issues. Okay, so this assessment is basically to see how the companies score in the ESG ratings. Okay, so the ESG ratings consist of an overall rating broken down into fundamental policy, or we call it pillars, and also exposure and topic scores. They have pillars, they have exposures. For example, they have segments and then how they score in that each segments. So the basic policies and themes are built on more than 300 indicators that are used in unique circumstances for each foreign company. They use more than 300 indicators. I myself try to go into, for example, there's a few examples online. Some talk about water issue. It's not so easy or straightforward because of a lot of indicators and a lot of fractions, a lot of mathematics involved, and some are a lot of subjective. Subjective, meaning to say subjective here means based on my opinion or based on your opinion, then they agree to a statement. Okay, so there's a lot of I can say a lot of subjective terms used, but whatever it is, for us as investors, let's not challenge on that. Let the expert do their work, and we just take whatever we just take the result of it. Okay, so the composition of F4GBM and also F4GBMS, which is the S stands for Sharia, in that index is revised every 6 months in June and December. In the letter of the slide, I'm going to share about I've gathered some information from 2020 until recent June. Okay, so they actually evaluate on the FBM AMAS. So what is FBM AMAS? It's actually the FBM top 100 index and also small cap companies. So they done, do you see like a CD here? Okay, for those younger generation, if you don't know what is CD, so it's actually like a storage a storage thing for us. So when you look at this CD, it's actually an assessment. They are classified into 14 ESG themes and underpinned by more than 300 detailed quantitative and qualitative indicators. So they are using this CD, okay, this CD to evaluate the assessment, to access the ESG ratings. So then the ESG, the F4GBM and also F4GBMS was born. Okay. So, okay, these are the ESG assessment. So the three pillars here mean we have governance, social and environment. I think this is the word ESG. These are the three pillars. And then for the 14 ESG themes, these are the things that they assess. They talk about, for example, for governance, they talk about tax transparency, risk management, corporate governance, and anti-corruption. Okay. For social, they talk about labor standards, human rights and community, health and safety, custom responsibility, supply chain. Okay. Environmental, they talk about biodiversity, climate change, pollution, water security, okay, and also supply chain, which is similar to what I've shown just now in the front few slides. So this is how they got the score. The first thing when I look at it is, I do not know what they are talking about. But then it is all, when you narrow down and see, they are all about how they manage the risk. So the assessment and structure of ESG data allows investors to understand the company's exposure and management of ESG issues. Management here doesn't mean the noun of management people. It's the noun management here is how you manage the ESG issues. So they're gonna have the scoring based on the exposure of E, S, and G. So how measures the overall quality of a company's management, how they manage the issue, for example, how they manage the issue of water security, how they measure the quality and the management of the climate change based on these 14 teams. And there are over 300 indicators being used in the model, in which they say here each team, for example, biodiversity, they're gonna have 10 to 35 indicators. So averagely 1 to 5 indicators are applied as per the company. So if you can see, it is very, very, for me, it's very complicated on how they evaluate. I even have a chance to talk with one of the evaluators, one of the company. They shared a bit with me, but I was completely confused. And then as a layman, as a normal person, I understand a bit, but not overall. But thanks to that person who shared with me. So as of that point of time, I know that this is not something for me to drill in and to understand. what I need to do is I just need to accept the result that they have done, because I think they have gone through a lot of rigorous challenge session to get for the scoring. Okay, so okay, we understand about the ESG assessment in Malaysia. So why investors should target ESG investing? Okay, so we see a lot of companies, they publish sustainability report, they talk about their plans, how they're going to improve the energy efficiency, are they going to change the raw material to bio-based. Okay, so these are the things that why companies should focus on ESG. So it used to be the case of the purpose of business management was very simple, which is to make profit. I think this is the old generation. They do business is to earn money. Okay, to earn money, dollar and cents. So, but then now the companies are being forced to have involvement in the environmental, the social, and in the governance. So, and then only investors gonna be attracted to it. So okay, in older days, investors also only care about companies' return of investment and growth. So investors is also tied to the companies. Companies grow, investors happy. Okay, now it has slightly switched a bit. Maybe not in Malaysia overall, but then if we look at EU, I think it's more obvious there. The people there, the companies there are more stressed on ESG. Okay. One example, when we look at the Ukraine and also Russia war, you see how many companies actually stop the production, so stop supplying or stop importing from Russia. Russia is well known for the for the gas supply. So EU, they completely just stop it, or by stages they stop it. Okay, as a matter that they do not support war. Okay, so all these countries are serious. ESG itself is a serious thing. Okay, so if the company's focus on ESG is good for planet Earth, and then let's say the company does not support, okay, let's say for example, a company, oil and gas company, still continue to drill and emit carbon dioxide, so they will have the less support because they are still hurting the Mother Earth. Okay, so it helps if the companies focuses on ESG, they helps in showcasing management or management risk handling. So we will know that how the company actually address the issue. Okay, so from that we know the management or the company's capabilities in managing the risk. Okay, and then if the companies focus on ESG, it will be a good for business, because let's say they are focusing on one industry or one segment. Okay, now they know that ESG is coming. Let's say that company also focuses on providing services on how the company or how other companies can achieve better ESG ratings. It can be a good business. Okay, and it can also be a future growth investing. So one of the things that when I attended a conference last few days, so there's a few companies are actually providing service, consultant service. For example, let's say if I have a plant, I have a manufacturing, I would like to go into sustainable also. So I might go to all these companies, consultants. I say, hey, can you come and assess my company and see whether can I reduce or how can I increase my ESG? So the consultant will come, do some assessment. First few things that they may, okay, maybe they will recommend, why not you change your electricity supply to solar? Maybe there's the first, the low hanging fruit that they will recommend. Or second thing is, why not you just collect the rainwater harvesting, okay, for you to reuse the water from the rain. That is that I think electricity or energy and water are the low hanging fruit that each consultant will be doing. Okay, so good for the business, they can do into all these consultancy. Or next thing is they can do the supplier. Okay, for example, the consultant will say, oh, you can reduce how many percent of CO2 emission by converting to solar. uh, so I also have solar solution for you. Okay, so these are actually good for business, good for future growth. Okay, So why companies focus on ESG? Last thing is for the next generation. Okay, we know that there's even a statistic saying that if we continue to pollute our world, our next generation won't be able to feel the nature in the future. So for those who have younger generation, who have children's, I think you will appreciate this more. Okay, I also have kids, so I also learn from them. Okay, so it will affect the reputation of the company. Let's say if the company is not environmental friendly or is not compliant to ESG. Okay, so why investors should target ESG investing? So the contribution brought by ESG will not only increase the share price, okay, but also reduce the investment risk of this company, bringing an even higher rate of profit. Okay, this is actually for investors. We know that, oh, okay, this is how the company is very reliable. Even though something bad things happen, they manage to get over it. Okay, they react to what had been happened. They take a stern step. Okay, so investors should factor ESG elements into their investments considerations. From that, they will understand management capabilities. Later, I have a few examples, management capabilities, and we can avoid unnecessary situations. Okay, later, I also have a few example about connecting how management capabilities and also can avoid unnecessary situations. And then it's easier to gain support. For example, the company that I buy is very ESG driven. And then, of course, when I buy in, later, maybe around the years or down the road, the company that I bought is easier to gain support from other investors and other institutional funds. Okay. And then better for long-term investing, because since sustainable, we talk about sustainable, the business gonna sustain, the environment gonna sustain, their business gonna sustain. So it's more about long-term investing also. Okay. So these are the reasons why we as investors should target ESG investing. Okay. So yep. So these are the typical techniques that we use. We use fundamental that we can understand companies' health status, how the company's performance for the past 10 years, okay, and how it might replicate in the future. And then for the technical analysis, we can forecast the stock trend by reading the market trend by using the passive data. And ESG can be one of the elements. Okay, so we will understand the company's capabilities and abilities in managing risk. Okay, these are one of the factor that I think we should consider. Okay, but not to say that we're gonna read through all the reports of ESG how they manage it. Maybe the ESG ratings is a good sign for us to follow. Okay, as a retail investors like us, okay, I think it's enough for us. Okay, so we talk about history, definition, ESG assessment, the CD, and also the why investors should target ESG investing. So we have just a few case study. I mean, in one segment. So later we're going to talk about ESG stocks. So for the case study, how ESG affects companies' prospect. So this is the FTSE F4GBM, okay, index. So if you, okay, I think you can see this in your platform. You can just type F4GBM. Okay, so these are the charts. Okay, so these are the numbers. Okay, the numbers of companies being included in F4GBM had been increasing year to year. So this is based on the June assessment. June 2020, June 2021, June 2022, and June 2023. So it had been increasing from 73 companies being included in the F4GBM. 2021, 76. June 2022, we have 87 companies. And in the latest June, just a few months ago, 4 months ago, okay, we have 98 companies being listed in F4GBM. Okay. So, okay, this is the case study I want to share about the EMS industry, electronic EMS. So, first about VS, when the news about forced labor working excessive overtime hours, EMS industry was a hot topic. Okay. What is the name? Andy Hall. Okay, I think this person, I think is, I think he might not be a favorite among the corporates. Andy Hall, I think he exposed two things. I mean, One is in the EMS industry about the forced labor working excessive. The other one is about the glove industry. If you guys remember during the top glove, during the COVID time, yeah, whereby the glove industries all go up and then there's a sudden fall. I mean, not a very big fall. I think it's because of the ND hole. I think they managed to go and see snap photos that okay, in one of in the residence for the labors, there's a lot, maybe more than 20 or 30 people was squeezed in one of the residents. So it actually was being exposed, which I think is good and bad also, because it's not as per the human right or human labor. It doesn't follow the human right or the human labor. So it prove it. Why I say it's good is because when the things happen, the management is serious. They take action towards it. So we know. I think last time there's a ratings from Top Glove. I think they take them around like 3 weeks to settle that. So this shows that management of Top Glove is serious about this. When things happen, they do not blame. They take action. They go over it. So same goes to VS. So forced labor, working excessive overtime hours, or EMS is a big topic. They talk about VS. VS was exposed. So they faced a similar incident. So in 2nd of December 2021, EPF immediately sold 21.67 million shares and no longer become the top shareholder on the same day. Okay, EPF, you know, they are very quite they are very alert on this also. So when it was exposed, EPF immediately sold it off. Okay, so you can see the 2nd December. So you can see a huge drop. I didn't put in the volume. It's okay. They've there's a huge. You can see there's a bearish candle. There's a bear candle. Huge drop, and then after that it goes up a bit and continue to falls down. Okay, EPF been the supporting for VS, so they no longer say they sell everything on the same day and no longer become the top shareholder on the same day. So all these are very important and very serious, okay, when it comes to ESG. Second thing, SK Press, also the same thing. Even though they are in the same industry, so they also hit by the news. So they also fall down and then they continue to climb up. Okay. So yeah, we talk about how ESG affects company prospect. A lot we can show, but I just show a few which I can relate as of now. I mean, the glove industry is on also another case study also, just I didn't include in. Okay, so ESG stocks, I think hearing for more than 1 hour, I think this is what we are more interested in. Okay, so when we look at F4GBM, I'm focusing more on F4GBM instead of F4GBM as Sharia, because I think there's more of the interest is in F4GBM index. So in 2020, since 2020, there are 52 companies maintain their positions in the F4GBM. Just now we talk about number of companies listed in F4GBM, right? 2020 were 73 companies, 2021 were 76, 2022 were 87, 2023 were 98 companies. So we have 52 companies consistently maintain their position from 2020 until 2023. So if we break down into the sector, okay, or the distribution of these 52 companies, we have consumer products and services, 8 companies, energy we have 5, financing services we have 11, healthcare we have 3, industrial products and services 2, plantation 3, property, REIT, technology, telco, transportation, and utilities. So we see the biggest is the financial services, which are the banks, Maybank, Public Bank, CIMB. They have been there for the past 4 years. So from all these statistics, 52 companies have been consistently in the rating in the F4GBM. Okay, so this is one side. Then we look at another data. There are 22 companies which score full ratings since 2020. Okay, these are the distribution of the companies who score 4-star rating, which okay, let's put it in another way. Who score 100% marks. Okay, there's exam. There are 50 people who score 100 marks. A plus 100 marks. 2021, we have 57. 2022, we have 65. 2022, we have 48. So if we look at these 4 years, 2020, 21, 22, 23, okay, there are consistently 22 companies who score 100 marks for the ESG rating. So we have consumer products, 8 companies, financial 5, healthcare, plantation, technology, telco, and transportation. So it doesn't surprise me because like energy sector, oil and gas, or utilities do not score 100 marks for the past 4 years. Maybe recently they are, but then they do not consistently score for 100 marks over the 4 years. Okay, but it's a good thing because meaning to say they do not score 100% for the past 4 years because I'm using 4 years data. Maybe they score 100%, 100 marks in the recent years. Later, we're going to go through that. Okay. So if we combine the two categories together, so the first circle that we see just now is the companies consistently maintain their position in F4 GBM since 2020. Okay, the companies that consistently maintain the position. Okay, the second one is companies with full rating since 2020. So just now we have the figure, right? I think sorry for the error. This should be 22. Okay, so it's actually 52, 22. So we zoom into this area. This area who have been consistently maintaining their positions since 2020, and also they get 100 marks. So these are the lists. Jang. So there are 18 companies who had consistently been in the F4 GBM and scoring highest ESG ratings ever since 2020. These are the companies. Not to say this is a buy call. Not to say this. This is just some of the, we know that what they have done. We can check what they have done and also how they got full scorings. Yeah, so there are good examples that we can follow. So like consumer product and services, we have Burma's Auto, we have FNN, Carex, and also Petronas Dagangan. For energy, we have Malaysia Marine and Heavy Engineering. So financial services, Bursa, CIMB, Hong Leong, RCE, CAP, and also RHB, plantation, technology, telco, and also transportation and logistics. Okay. So, okay. Let me just bring up the Excel. Where do I get all my data? So I have my Excel file here whereby I gather all my information. Yeah, okay. Let's just not look at that. Let's just look at the F4 GBM. Just now we mentioned that the companies who consistently getting who was listed in F4 GBM. So just now we have all these companies when I sorted out to 4, meaning to say they are in the F4 GBM for the past 4 years, never been dropped off. And then the 4 stars is actually those companies who consistently get for 100 marks, 100 marks, 100 marks for the past 4 years. Okay. Yep. Yeah. And then okay. So this is basically how do I get all those data. So if you see I have the sector and also the company name. So I just combine the F4 GBM and 4 stars together in one statistic. So I will be able to know that. Okay, let me just make it smaller a bit. Okay, so I have F4 GBM and also the rating scoring. So rating scoring, the 4 marks are full marks. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so just for example, let's just look at GCAN. So it is listed in F4 GBM. Oh, okay. Sorry. I look at the chats also. Okay, let me just reshare my screen. By right, you should be looking at my screen as well. Let me just look at my screen number 1. Okay, just give me a reaction if you are if you're able to see my Just give me a thumbs up or okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, nice. Thanks. Okay, so this is my Excel file whereby I have gathered all my information from the past 2020 until 2023 in this Excel file. So I have F4GBM and also my 4 stars. Okay, I just repeat what I say. So F4GBM is basically all these are the companies. If you see the one total here, meaning 4 is meaning to say they have consistently scoring since the first 2020 until 2023. Okay, and then for the 4 stars is they consistently got the score of 100 marks for the past 4 years, meaning to say from darjah 3, 4, 5, 6, from primary 3, 4, 5, 6, they consistently get 100 marks for all their subjects. Okay, so when I combine into this demo tab, so I have F4GBM and also the rating scoring. So yeah, so let's look at into example of the GCAN, one of the construction. Again, not a buy call, it's just for example purpose. Okay, for in GCAN, they are listed in F4GBM in 2020. Okay, so they drop out in 2021. Maybe they do not adhere to some of the things, or they are being kicked out. It's just like our FBM KLCI. Our FBM KLCI is also reviewed every half a year, okay, to see who are the good ones, who is not performing, will be kicked out. So that's why our FBM KLCI will be continue to grow, okay, because they will kick the weak ones and they will maintain the strong ones. Okay, so in 2022, it grow back. It was included back in the F4GBM. So in 2023, they are being removed. Okay, so what about the scoring? Okay, the scoring, they got a 2 marks, 2 marks, and 4 marks. So in 2023, they completely do not have any scoring. Okay, maybe my hypothesis is maybe because they do not have any F4GBM, so they do not pass certain tests. Okay, so when we come back to when we see this, I mean, when we generalize, sorry, when we focus on this sector, so we have these 18 companies, so which I think they will have a good example. Okay, we can use them as a role model how they actually score full marks. Okay, and let's just loosen up a bit of our criteria and let's see what we get. So maybe we focus at companies with 2 recent inclusions in the F4GBM. Okay, yeah, just play with this. So with 2 inclusions, meaning to say recent year 2022, 2023, they are listed in F4GBM. So by just using the Excel, I can just filter out the one that who score 1 here, meaning to say they are in the F4GBM in 2022, and then because our criteria says 2 inclusions, right? So for 2023, I will also filter out the blanks. So I have all these. How many companies I have? I have 70 companies, meaning to say all these 70 companies are consistently in the F4GBM in 2022 and also 2023. I just hide this so that because it's not about a part of our criteria. It's a part of our screening, only focus on 2022 and 2023. So from here, we have 40 companies. Let me just move away the total also. Sorry, 70 companies. Okay. So yeah, we have these 2 companies. Okay. Then, okay, we have all these consumer products, energy, financial services, healthcare. Yep. And then let me just move away. Okay. Our criteria. Ratings above 3 stars in the recent assessment. Okay. In the recent, when I put in the recent assessment here, meaning to say 2021, 2020, 2020, 21, 22, I do not look at that. Okay. I only focus on the recent year who got 3 stars and above 3 stars. I just remove the number 2. I can see that there are actually 67 companies here. Okay, if I filter out, there's only 67 companies here. Okay, so I already try to loosen up the criteria so that I can see more companies in this. So I have Bermas Auto, FNN, Genting. Definitely Genting is not inside F4GBM Sharia. So that's why I say I'm focusing on F4GBM. Okay. So I have Lihan, Mr. DIY, Petronas Dagangan, PBB, Sam Dabi. So all this actually says that these companies have good ESG ratings and they are agreed and approved to be listed in F4GBM. Meaning to say they perform and they perform good ratings, so that's why they are listed in the F4GBM. Okay, so energy section we have Delium, Dialog, Henyuan, Hibiscus, MMHE, Velesto, Yinsen. Okay, and also financial services, healthcare, industrial products, plantation, property, real estate, technology, yeah, telco, utilities. So all this actually, if you are into ESG investing, okay, so these are the statistic or these are the filters that you can play around. Okay. Okay, then after that, yeah, so this is how I do my own ratings if I were to check into the ESG ratings or ESG investing. Okay, so okay, just to share where do we get the data, it's actually available in Bursa's website. For example, let's just take into June 2022 and June 2023. Let's just keep into June 2023 data. Yep, I just opened a few times. Yeah. So this is the raw data that they have. Actually, the assessment is done by FTSE Russell. So we have 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star. So I just gather the information and put it into Excel slide, which is easier. So again, this is a stock code. We have the company name, we have the sector, and then if it is listed in the F4GBM, so if yes means to say it is, okay, and then for the F4GBM Sharia, if it's a yes, meaning to say it is listed in the Sharia. And then the ESG rating band. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, Avril, I read your chat. Yeah, I would just post the inside here. Okay, so these are actually the ratings. Okay, so they have done their assessment and then they have put ratings and then yeah. So this is it. This is I share where do I get the information. And then next, coming back to our slide. Okay, the one in Bursa is done by FTSE Russell. They are also other third party who had done similar things. They have their own ESG ratings also. Okay, they have their own ratings. Okay, so this is one of the company, Sustainalytics. I think recently they're acquired by Morningstar. Yep, correct. So is it they were acquired by Morningstar or Morningstar want to divest them? It's okay, sorry, that's not the point. Okay, so you can check around that. So Sustainalytics is also one of the third-party company which provide the ESG ratings also. Okay, so um, for example, let's look at one of the example. Let's say we look at okay, let's just take the example inside our list. The one that who score all. Okay, for example, let's just talk about telecom. The one thing about this Morningstar Sustainalytics is because they are doing assessment for all the companies all around the world. So sometimes we might not get what we want. So for example, I just type telecom. There's a lot of telecom. Telecom Austria, Telecom Malaysia. I saw this Telecom Malaysia. Or another easier way is you can put the stock code, which KLS is KLSE Composite. So for 63. So let's just look at Sustainalytics analysis on telecom. Here it's mentioned it's a medium risk. Okay, so you can read more about that. So they also have a comparison with other industry peers. Okay, so which is fair enough. Okay, they are also, yeah, they have, okay, you need to definitely to subscribe to that. Okay, they have a lot of statistics. Actually, this ESG, all things matters are the data and how do they access, how do they interpret the data and how do they analyze the data. So let's, for example, take another example, the one that I like, Pentamaster. They also have okay, is a low. Low meaning to say low risk. Okay, they also have the peer comparison. Why do I use this? Okay, this thing is sometimes very helpful to me is because when I invest in, for example, in a technology segment, the industry comparison here is always I can refer to maybe what is the PE for all these companies. I mean, yeah, we can use this for ESG rating. I'm also comparing this. Let's say I'm into a technology segment. So what are the PE for each other industry? So I can know that whether my PE for the stock, the counter that I want, is it overvalue or undervalue? Just a comparison for the PE. This is how do I use it? Okay, so we can have all these things. You can go and have a look about this sustainalytics. So it is quite helpful to me. So if you are into ESG investing, so if you want to know how it gonna affect, if you were on the route to choose good ESG, which is responsible for the environment, social and governance, so we can focus on the companies with low risk, or if we come back to Bursa Malaysia, the one that who scores 4 stars. Okay, definitely you do not need to be so stringent or so strict. For example, the criteria that I have is consistently maintain 4 years, and then the companies with full ratings. We do not need to be so stringent. Maybe you just need to focus at the companies with the full rating who got 100 marks in the recent years. Okay. Yep. So okay, sustainability is one of the another third party website. So okay, to look for information and investment ideas in, I think recently all of us are very, I think these pictures is just happening, I think last month. Okay, the new industrial master plan NIMP 2030. Okay, so there are a lot of things inside there. Maybe later I can talk a little bit about it. 11:30. Maybe I can just talk 3 to 5 minutes about this. Okay, and also the IESG framework. This thing is completely new. IESG, I think, is just launched on the 2nd of October, which is this Monday, the Monday before. Okay, so IESG framework prepares manufacturing sector. So the manufacturing sector for US 12 trillion ESG related market opportunities. Yeah, so all this, there are a lot of opportunities inside there. Just for IESG, I don't have chance to go into because I don't really see the report of it. So for NIMP, yeah, I go through. In fact, I go through the PDF script. So maybe just look at a little bit. This is a summary. Okay, this is a summary from the government website. Okay, maybe we just go through a little bit, a summary booklet. So they focus more on what's the overview, what do they want. So they have 4 missions, they have 4 enablers, they have 21 strategies and 62 action plans. So the strategies involve 21 sectors here. We have aerospace, E&E, machinery, mineral, rail. So all these you can look at it. Okay. There's a lot of things inside here, a lot of opportunities inside there. Okay, so just one thing to note, because since last few days I was attending a medtech industry, so the industry talks about medical devices. So just to let everyone know, Penang is a hub for E&E. Definitely everyone knows for semiconductor. Second one is for aerospace. Just to share with everyone, the third one is actually medical devices. Penang is a hub for all these E&E, aerospace and medical devices is the third biggest sector that they're contributing for Malaysia's GDP. So medical devices is a trend for the future. If we look at market trend and also the CAGR and total investment, it's definitely worth it to have a look, And if you talk about, is there any medical devices listed in Malaysia? Yes, there is. There is a lot. You can try to look at it. So they talk about Malaysia's industrialization today, 12 key challenges, 3 key trends, 3 key trends. Okay, geopolitical movement, digitalization, and also sustainability. Okay, and then also the vision. Okay, the thing that I want to take a look is, okay, the 4 missions. You just have a time to take a look, and this is the thing that I would like to emphasize on. You can see that mostly are involved in related to digitalization, machinery and equipment, M&E, E&E, and also chemical. Okay, so from an automation and E&E, M&E, how they produce more medical devices, in which we're gonna attract more of the R&D to Malaysia. Okay, there's a lot of medical devices in Malaysia which is globally recognized. Bebron, Boston Scientific, all these companies, but then only a few these big corporations have their R&D set up in Malaysia. So if we have good machinery and equipment M&E, so we might able to attract more R&D facilities to be in Malaysia. Okay, to be in Malaysia. Definitely that will increase the job opportunities. Okay, and then since I think Malaysia's labor cost, if compared to foreign countries, it's lesser. Okay, so it might be a good opportunity to the foreign countries. So we have E&E into automotive segment. We know that an EV car, inside an EV car, there's a lot of chips. There's a lot of EV chips. And also the industry related is the battery storage, and the battery technology itself. Okay, and also the smart sensors and the charger station. Imagine one day there will be lesser petrol station. There will be more EV charging stations. Okay, and then the chemical segment, another chemical sector in Malaysia. There's a lot of chemical sector in Malaysia, either specialty chemicals or chemicals. So they divert the chemicals, they produce more pharmaceutical. So this is the thing that I would like to emphasize. There's a lot of opportunities coming from this one, all the companies. Okay, and I if you're aware of my Facebook page, I also attended Pentamaster AGM in May, in which Pentamaster, everyone knows that is a semicon industry. They also venture into medical devices starting 2019. Okay, and also I can say that this is not a buy call. Okay, this is not a buy call. I just want to share the strategy of the management, the strategy of company, the foresight view that they have actually impressed me. They know which industry is the forefront, is the future trend, and then they embark into the journey, and now they are already bearing the fruit. Okay, so things to take note: cloud computing, AI. Okay, these are the things. Take a look at the statistic inside there. These are the opportunities. Electric vehicle. Just like we mentioned about electric vehicle, not only the chips, the batteries, okay, and the sensors. And then it will, if you look at the whole value chain, the keyword here, value chain, EV charger, all these things, all are related. Renewable energy, solar panel, a lot of solar have been growing. Just to share, I invested in some of the solar industry start in 2012 and 2013, in which they do not give me good profits. Okay, I need to need to sell it. But then if we compare the solar industry now and also a few years back, okay, a few years back, it is definitely more mature because the technology are mature, and then there are a lot of incentives given by the government. Okay, so I can say that the industry itself is more mature if I compare to 2012, 2013 when I start investing in solar. So there's a transition that you can see the maturity of the companies. Okay, and also you can take a look at a lot of our solar companies, the listed solar bears, all those companies. Okay, circular economy, carbon capture. Okay, these are the things that, yeah, these are the things that we can have a look. There's a lot of opportunities inside there. Okay, there's opportunity here, meaning to say does not mean that if you buy now, it will go tomorrow. I mean, it will go up tomorrow. It requires some time. It definitely requires time, maybe 1 or 2 years time. Okay, so yep, this is about NIMP. And then for ESG framework, that one I have not, I don't have the slide or anything yet on that. Okay, so this is it, ESG. And then if you refer to some, there's a lot of bloggers, there's a lot of videos, they have the view on the NIMP, which industry or which sector or which counter or which company gonna benefit from NIMP, feel free to have a look, and then you have your own, you yourself must have your own analysis and on-site whether is it really true what they are talking about. Have your own judgment on that. So yeah, we talk about history of ESG, definition of ESG, understanding ESG assessment, okay, case study and ESG stocks. I hope everyone benefits from here. So I only have 15 minutes. Okay, introducing the Bursa Equity Trading Simulator, the ETS. So I'm just gonna go through it and then with some demo here also. Okay, the equity trading simulator here. This is the website you guys can click into. So one good thing about Bursa is they very care about us. They do not want us. They actually give us virtual money to get involved in the simulator so that you can play. You can play with your investment money, which is the virtual money, which is 100K. Okay. So these are the thing. Okay, okay, it's okay. So it's a good chance for you to learn how to buy and sell and how the platform looks like. Okay, so let me just bring you to the platform. Okay, so this is the Bursa economy. Sorry, Bursa marketplace. Bursa economy pula. So you can go to the simulator up here. Okay, at the drop down button, you can see equity simulator. You just can click on it. Because since I was signed in earlier, so need to create an account, do and sign in. Yeah, so all the information is there. So this is actually mirror what's happening in the actual platform. Okay. So for example, these are the top. If you can just click on the drop down button, there are all stocks, and then sort by volume, meaning to say, oh, these are the top 30 counters, top volume in Malaysia, top volume which is happening today. CanM, SCIB, Bplan, Ecovest, MQTech, UEMS. Okay. So another thing, you can look at your portfolio. Okay, from the up here, you can see quote, watch list, stock info chart, and also the portfolio. So when we look at my portfolio, equities portfolio, because I also buy using this. I think during my last few webinars, I was using this as example. So for example, Penta, I bought around 4.02. So now it's 5.05. It gives me a number, or I've already gained 2,000 from here. So for MYEG, I bought at 795. Sorry, I bought at 811. Should be 810. I think there are some addition, or if I average down, average up. Yeah, so the latest price is 795. So I make a loss of unrealized loss is 158. When I mention unrealized loss, is because I have not sell, I have not sold, I have not cut loss, I have not made any take profit. So it's unrealized. So for Eno, a plantation company, I bought it around 1.23. Sorry, 1.32. So current price is 1.23. So I actually make a loss of 108. Okay. And then another thing to share is, okay, now let's look at example, how do we buy? For example, I go to the watch list. I go to the reason quote. Okay, I just can go to the quote screen here. For example, I want to buy Bursa now. 1818. Okay. So if I want to buy here, now this is my trading limit. I have a trading because everyone is given 100K. So I already spent 18K purchasing just now, Penta, Eno, and also my EG. So I would like to buy Bursa. So I can just, okay, for example, the quantity, I just buy 10. And then this is the price. Okay. 6.81. Okay. If I want to buy it now, I just click skip confirmation and I click buy. So if you see, I already clicked, you can go to the order book, the order status to check. Partially filled, meaning to say already partially filled, unmatched. I buy 1,000 shares. Unmatched is 900. I only unmatched is 900. Unmatched quantity is 900. It only matched 100. Okay, the rest 900 haven't matched. So feel free to go around and explore there's a lot of things. And yeah, so I think in previous webinars also I share about how do I include in the indicators in the Bursa in the chart, whereby from this black background, how do I change to white? And also how do I add in the moving average 20 and 40? If you follow my my technical indicators, I normally use price volume analysis, and also moving average 40 and 20 in my investment. Okay, so how do I change from black background to white background, black background to white background? Okay, and also yeah, just now we talk about control panel, the highlights, and also the windows. This is actually how do I differentiate the control panel. The up one is a control panel. Then I have the highlight. I know how many stocks have been traded, how many counters are red, how many trades or how many ringgit Malaysia was involved today. I have windows. I have screen analysis chart. I have the stock info about the stock. Yeah, and then there's a tab. You see here tab. Just now for mine, I managed to have a lot of tab too. Yeah, see, I have my watch list for my furniture tab. I have a tab of my technology, a tab for my equities portfolio, and a tab for my equities analysis chart. If I ever want to make it big, I can just press, not this one, that should be another one. It's okay. So yeah, so these are the things that alone you need to just play around, explore it. So what's a pop-up, what's the combined full window? Just look at these signals, these signs. I don't think we can remember all, but just feel free to play around and you can look at it. And then yeah, basic maneuver, just now we talk about how to buy and sell. Yeah, and the order status. Yeah, I think, yeah, Carmen, I think I've been talking too much. So yeah, I bring it back to you for Q&A. There's 10 minutes left.
All right, no worries. Right, so because there's 10 minutes left, we'll take there are a few questions, so we'll take roughly
Yep.
2 questions. Okay, so starting from the first question, could you provide example of recent trends or development in ESG investing that have had a significant impact on the financial market, and how should investors react to these trends?
I think the reason ones that I think it's a slow trend. We're gonna look at it. It doesn't appear immediately. One of the example I give just now is about BS and also the EMS industry. I think that's an immediate effect when the bomb happens, when people expose they are not adhering to certain laws, top glove, okay? And then coming back to all those policies that embedded in the company. I think recently there's a lot of good companies which they say they're gonna embark into net zero carbon and also all those industry. So those we can look from the news. I cannot recall, but I know there's a lot which have companies will take time, because once they have a strategy, they normally come up with a strategy. They want to do this, and then they'll have action. Action here doesn't mean they do 1 day or 2 days. They'll take around like half year, 1 year, 2 years to do, and then they will harvest the result maybe 2 or 3 years after what they have done, after their action. Yeah, so sorry, I couldn't give any exact example except for the one that I tell just now, EMS and also the glove.
All right, so moving on to the next question. So during the webinar, you mentioned the importance of focusing on ESG theme stock. Could you provide examples of industry or sectors that are particularly relevant for the ESG theme investment? And you can further elaborate why.
Okay, I think I can refer to the 18 companies which they are focusing. I think, okay, 2 things I think I mentioned before. Okay, first thing, why the importance of focusing at good trend. These are the things. These are the 4 things that I can think as of now. Okay, we can understand the management capabilities and avoid unnecessary situations, easier to gain support and better for long-term investing. These are why investors should start to target ESG investing. Okay, but if you look at the, okay, let me just look at the question again. Okay, these are the importance why investors should target on the ESG investing. So some of the industry examples of industry and sectors that are particularly relevant to ESG team investments. We can just look at all this industry that in our 18 companies. I think these are a good start. Okay, the examples of the industry that had been, because okay, look at the selection criteria that I have in here. I select two main criteria in which all these companies, 18 companies, have been in F4GBM since 2020, 2020, 21, 22, 23. They have been 4 years been listed or been included in F4GBM. And then they had been scoring the highest score. They have been getting 100 marks since 2020. Okay, so all these are good examples for us to start to look into it. Yep,
All right.
Carmen.
All right, so moving on to the next question. So generally, business that harms the earth, example, oil and gas, transport, and so on, they generate income. That is the main goal of investors. So the person wonder what are the benefits for investors to invest in good ESG rated companies? Other than that, what was mentioned in the presentation earlier, possibly full tax exemption?
Correct. I think what it stands for your question. Tax exemption is one of the example. I think starting from last year, if not mistaken, last year August, whereby Bursa is also embarking into like carbon credit. So if your company is not okay, if your company is damaging or there are a lot of carbons in your industry, so there's a thing called carbon tax. So you need to pay tax to the government. So in which it will deplete your profit. Same goes to your tax exemption. So if you have efforts to try to reduce the tax, the tax, to reduce the carbon tax, so you might be able to have more because the tax you pay is lesser. If we look at our profit and loss balance, profit and loss, yeah, the tax you pay, because it's coming from the revenue minus of your COGS and things like that. So if you no need to pay so much for the tax, your net profit will increase. So when my rule of thumb is quite simple, when your revenue increase, your net profit increase, slowly your share price gonna increase. So all these three are related together. Yep.
All right, so to moving on to the next question. So someone from Annie Chin asks, what happens if a company does not implement ESG?
As of now, we cannot see any impact yet because ESG implementation and the education of ESG is not so strong yet in Malaysia. It is slowly taking step. It doesn't mean that if you don't have ESG rating, your share price gonna fall. It's not like that. Okay, maybe I can think in the future is lesser and lesser people would be less interested in the no ESG rating. So when there's less interest, volume is not as high, is not as active as those with good ESG rating. So when you want to buy your the activity is not so active. So when you buy, then you cannot sell. I mean, it's not so active. Yeah, that's what I can think as of now. So when when all the companies in Malaysia try to focus, at least get a 1-star ESG rating, 1 or 2 stars, it will be good for the investors as well also.
All right, cool. So I think we can take one last question. It's from the chat, Edmund V. So what are the consulting companies providing independent ESG consulting services?
Okay, I know about Sustainalytics. There's another one which I talked, the one that I mentioned just now when I asked about the breakdown or how do they do the assessment. I don't remember the name of the company because it happened, I bumped into them in one of the seminar last year, but I still have the name card. But the name card is not with me at my workstation now. I think as of now, I can think that Sustainalytics and a lot of Deloitte and also PwC, all those companies, I think they also have the consulting ESG consulting arm to their company. But now I can think of it Sustainability, which is a global company. Deloitte, okay, Deloitte also have it. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So there's actually one last question. Since this is the last one, I think we can just raise it up. So it's from Susilamati. So I believe that only way to ensure all companies comply with ESG is enforcement from the authorities. What do you think about this?
I totally agree. Just now we mentioned about the regulation, right? Let's say there must be a regulation. There must be a push and pull factor. The push is coming from the authority or from the regulator. If there's no incentive from the regulator, there's no point from the companies adhering to ESG. There must be a mutual interest. When the companies adhere to the ESG, there must be a push factor from the regulatory. For example, like you mentioned just now, tax exemption. I think that's the most important thing that will benefit the pull factor. I mean, the companies to adhere to that. If not, I don't see why the companies want to spend their effort, spend their money to do this. Besides thinking noble about environment and not, it must be coming from the regulatory itself also.
All right, cool. So yeah, with that, we have come to the end to our Q&A session. So thank you very much, Johnny, for your such a wonderful sharing and insightful one.
you.
So we do hope that everyone here did get something out of the session today. So all right, so let me just share a little bit